In 1935, Einstein discovered something so disturbing about reality that he called it spooky action at a distance and spent the rest of his life trying to prove it wasn't real. He failed because it is real. And in 2022, three physicists won the Nobel Prize for proving it beyond any doubt. It's called quantum entanglement. Two particles separated by any distance, even across the entire universe, remain instantly connected. Change one, the other changes immediately. No signal, no delay, as if space itself doesn't exist. Now, here's what nobody in the manifestation space is actually explaining. This isn't just some cool physics fact. This is direct evidence that the universe operates on principles that make everything you've been taught about creating your reality laughably incomplete. I was stuck for years, exhausted from a job I hated, watching my business struggle, wondering why nothing I tried was working. The moment I understood what entanglement actually implies about consciousness and reality, everything changed. And it changed fast. Let me show you what I finally understood. Before we dive into the science, I need you to understand why this matters to your actual life. Because I know how easy it is to hear quantum physics and think this is just interesting theory with no practical application. I thought that too. For years, I'd read about quantum mechanics in manifestation books. I'd heard people talk about vibrations and frequencies and the quantum field, and honestly, it all sounded nice, but nothing clicked. Nothing changed. I was still waking up exhausted, still commuting to a job that felt like it was slowly draining the life out of me, still watching my business barely generate enough to cover expenses. The problem wasn't that I didn't believe in manifestation. I believed in it completely. The problem was that I had a surface-level understanding of the actual mechanics. I was trying to use a tool I didn't really understand. When I finally went deeper, when I stopped accepting the spiritual interpretations and started studying what physicists actually discovered, I found something far stranger and far more useful than anything I'd heard before. First, I'll show you what quantum entanglement actually is and why it proves that reality is non-local. Then we'll look at the observer effect and what it really means that consciousness affects matter. After that, I'll explain why this makes traditional manifestation techniques incomplete. And finally, I'll show you exactly how I applied this understanding to transform my own life in months instead of years. By the end of this video, you're going to see reality completely differently, and that shift in perception is the actual key to everything. Let's start with what quantum entanglement actually is, and I promise to make this simple because the concept itself isn't complicated. What's complicated is accepting what it means. In the quantum world, particles can become entangled. This happens when two particles interact in a specific way. Once they're entangled, they share a connection that defies everything we think we know about how the universe works. Here's the strange part. When you measure one entangled particle, the other particle instantly responds. If you measure the spin of particle A and find it spinning up, particle B will instantly be spinning down. Always, without fail. No matter how far apart they are. And when I say instantly, I mean instantly. Not at the speed of light. Not through any signal we can detect. The correlation is immediate, as if the distance between them doesn't exist at all. Einstein hated this. He called it spooky action at a distance because it seemed to violate a fundamental rule of physics. Nothing should be able to influence something else faster than light. That's not just a suggestion. That's supposed to be the cosmic speed limit. But entanglement doesn't care about the cosmic speed limit. Experiments have confirmed this over and over. The correlation was still instant. In the Nobel Prize-winning experiments, physicists closed every possible loophole. The effect is real. So what does this mean? It means the universe is fundamentally non-local. At the deepest level of reality, separation is an illusion. Things that appear to be completely disconnected are actually part of a unified whole. Distance, the space between objects, isn't what it appears to be. Now think about what this implies for you. You've been taught that you're a separate individual in a vast universe, that there's you here and the things you want over there, and that you need to somehow bridge that gap. But quantum physics is showing us that the gap itself might not be real. At the most fundamental level, you are not separate from anything, but entanglement is just the beginning. The next discovery is even stranger, and it's the one that changed everything for me. It's called the observer effect, and it demonstrates something that should be impossible. The act of observation itself changes physical reality. Here's the famous experiment. It's called the double slit experiment, and it's been performed thousands of times with the same mind-bending results. You fire particles, let's say electrons, at a barrier with two slits in it. Behind the barrier is a screen that records where the electrons land. Now, if electrons were just tiny balls of matter, you'd expect to see two bands on the screen, one behind each slit. Simple, but that's not what happens. Instead, you see an interference pattern. Bands of light and dark spread across the screen, the same pattern you'd see if waves were passing through the slits and interfering with each other. This means the electron went through both slits at once, interfering with itself, behaving like a wave of possibilities rather than a solid particle. Here's where it gets really strange. Scientists thought, okay, let's watch the electrons and see which slit they actually go through. So they set up detectors at the slits to observe the electrons as they passed. The moment they did that, the interference pattern disappeared. The electrons started behaving like normal particles again, going through one slit or the other, creating two simple bands on the screen. Let me make sure you understand what happened here. The electrons changed their behavior based on whether or not they were being observed. When no one was watching, they existed as waves of probability, going through both slits simultaneously. When someone watched, they collapsed into definite particles with definite paths. This has been replicated countless times. The results are always the same. Observation collapses possibility into actuality. Now here's the question that changed my entire understanding of reality. What is observation? What is it about consciousness that has this effect on matter? Physicists still argue about the interpretation, but the experimental results are not in dispute. At the quantum level, the act of looking, of placing attention on something, affects what that something becomes. Your consciousness is not a passive witness to reality, it's an active participant in creating it. Let's go deeper into what non-locality really means, because this is where the practical implications start to emerge. In classical physics, the physics of everyday objects, locality is a fundamental principle. Things can only affect other things through direct contact or through signals that travel through space. If I want to move a cup across the room, I have to walk over there and push it or throw something at it. Cause and effect happen locally, in sequence, through space and time. Quantum entanglement breaks this completely. Entangled particles don't communicate through space. There's no signal traveling between them. The correlation is non-local, meaning it happens outside of space as we understand it. It's as if the two particles are really one system, and the appearance of separation is just that, an appearance. Physicist David Bohm described it beautifully. He said that quantum physics suggests the universe is like a hologram. In a hologram, every piece contains information about the whole. Cut a hologram in half, and each half still shows the complete image. The parts aren't really separate from the whole. What if reality works the same way? What if the separation between you and everything else is a kind of illusion, useful for navigating daily life, but not fundamentally true? This isn't just philosophy anymore. This is what the experiments are pointing toward. At the deepest level, everything is connected, not metaphorically, physically. Think about what this means for manifestation. Traditional approaches treat your desires as things that are out there, separate from you. You have to attract them, pull them toward you, bridge the gap between your current reality and your desired reality. But what if there is no gap? What if the version of reality where you have what you want is already connected to you right now, the same way entangled particles are connected? What if selecting that reality is less about attracting something distant and more about collapsing into something that's already here. This is the shift that changed everything for me. Let me tell you how this understanding transformed my actual life, because theory means nothing without results. For years, I approached manifestation the way most people do. I would visualize what I wanted. I would try to feel grateful in advance. I would affirm and script and journal. And I was doing all of it while feeling fundamentally separate from what I wanted. I wanted my business to succeed, but I felt like a person whose business was struggling. I wanted to leave my job, but I felt like a person who was stuck. I wanted a different apartment, but I felt like a person who couldn't afford it. Do you see the problem? I was trying to attract something while my entire being was radiating the vibration of not having it. I was observing myself as someone who lacked, and according to the observer effect, that observation was collapsing reality into exactly what I was perceiving. When I finally understood quantum physics, something clicked. I realized I needed to change what I was observing, not what I was visualizing, not what I was affirming, what I was actually perceiving myself as at the deepest level. This is completely different from positive thinking or fake it till you make it. Those approaches still treat you as separate from what you want. You're a person without the thing, pretending to have the thing. True quantum manifestation is about recognizing that the version of you who has everything you want already exists. Non-locality means all versions are connected right now. Your job is to collapse into that version by perceiving yourself as that version. The shift is subtle, but the results are dramatic. I stopped trying to manifest my business succeeding. Instead, I started perceiving myself as someone whose business was already successful, not pretending, perceiving. There's a massive difference. Pretending is acting. Perceiving is being. When you pretend, you know underneath that it's not real. When you truly perceive, your entire system believes it. Your thoughts change. Your decisions change. Your actions change. You carry yourself differently, and reality responds. Within a few months of making this shift, my business started getting traction. Opportunities appeared that hadn't existed before. Clients reached out who seemed perfect. The growth wasn't gradual. It was like something had unlocked. I put in my notice at work, walked away from the commute, the exhaustion, all of it. And instead of feeling terrified, I felt certain. Because I wasn't jumping into the unknown, I was collapsing into a reality I'd already connected with. The apartment came a few weeks later. A place I'd been visualizing for years suddenly became available at exactly the right time at a price I could afford. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe non-locality means there are no coincidences. Maybe everything is connected. And when you shift your perception, the connections reveal themselves. Now let me give you something practical. A method you can actually use based on everything I've shared. I call it quantum collapsing. It's based on the 3 principles we've covered: non-locality, the observer effect, and entanglement. Here's how it works. First, you need to accept that the version of reality where you have what you want already exists. This isn't manifesting something out of nothing. It's selecting something from infinite possibilities. In quantum terms, before observation, all possibilities exist as potential. Your observation collapses one into actuality. The successful version of you is as real as the struggling version. You're just currently observing the struggling version. Second, you need to shift your perception from observer of lack to observer of fulfillment. This isn't visualization. Visualization is imagining something outside of you. This is perception. You're perceiving yourself as the person who already has it. The difference is where you place your identity. In visualization, you remain the person who wants the thing. In perception shifting, you become the person who has the thing. You look at your life through their eyes. You feel what they feel. You make decisions the way they would make decisions. Third, you need to let entanglement do its work. Once you're consistently perceiving yourself as the version who has what you want, You're entangled with that reality. Like entangled particles, you start to correlate. Events in your life begin matching the reality you're connected to. This is where patience and trust come in. You don't control the timeline. You don't control the how. Your only job is to maintain the perception, to keep observing yourself as the person who has what you want. Reality will reorganize itself around your observation. That's what the physics shows us. There's one more piece I need to share with you. It's the mistake I made for years, and it's the mistake that keeps most people stuck, even when they understand everything I've just explained. The mistake is inconsistent observation. Remember, in the double-slit experiment, electrons behave as waves of possibility until they're observed. Then, they collapse into particles. Your reality works the same way. It's a field of possibility until you observe it, and then it collapses into your experience. But here's the catch, you're observing constantly. Every thought you have about yourself is an observation. Every feeling about your situation is an observation. Every assumption about what's possible is an observation. If you spend 20 minutes in the morning perceiving yourself as successful and then spend the rest of the day perceiving yourself as struggling, guess which observation wins? The one you're maintaining most consistently. This is why people do affirmations for months with no results. They affirm for 5 minutes and then spend 23 hours and 55 minutes observing the opposite. Quantum collapsing requires consistency. You have to become obsessive about what you're observing. Catch yourself when you slip back into the old perception. Redirect your attention immediately. Make the new perception your dominant state. This isn't about being positive all the time. You can have emotions, you can deal with challenges, but underneath all of it, your core perception of who you are needs to stay anchored in the version of you who has what you want. When I finally got this, when I made the perception shift my full-time job, everything accelerated. The business growth, the job exit, the new apartment. It all happened within months because I wasn't giving mixed signals anymore. I was consistently observing one version of reality, and that's the version that collapsed into my experience. Let me bring this all together. Quantum entanglement proves that the universe is non-local. Things that appear separate are actually connected at the deepest level. The observer effect proves that consciousness affects physical reality. What you observe influences what becomes actual. Combined, these discoveries paint a picture of reality that supports everything manifestation teachers have been saying for centuries, but it goes further than most of them explain. You're not attracting things from somewhere else. You're collapsing possibilities that already exist. You're not separate from what you want. You're entangled with every possible version of your life. Your perception is not a passive witness. It's the mechanism through which possibility becomes reality. This changes everything. It means you have more power than you realized, but it also means you have more responsibility. You're collapsing reality right now with every thought, every assumption, every perception. The question is whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously. I wasted years collapsing into realities I didn't want because I didn't understand this. I observed myself as someone who struggled, and reality organized itself around that observation. When I shifted my perception, reality shifted with it. Not slowly, rapidly. Because the connection was always there, I just wasn't perceiving it. You have that same connection right now. The life you want isn't far away, it's entangled with you. Your job is to start perceiving it as already here. Observe yourself as the person who has it. Let go of the identity of someone who lacks it, and watch as reality reorganizes itself around your new observation. If this video shifted something in you, I need you to subscribe because what we talked about today is just the beginning. I go deeper into these concepts every week. I share what's working for me, what I'm learning, what I'm applying, and if you're serious about actually changing your reality, you want to be here for all of it. There's a video on screen right now that takes this even further. Click it and keep going. The more you understand, the faster your reality transforms. I'll see you in the next one.